Blog Talk Radio.
Chiamo apura kan apurai kaitnut neye AKANFO NANASOM da medinde Odwirafo Kwesi Nehem Ptah Akhan Akwamuman Amaruka Atifi Odwiraman mu. Greetings to all Apurakani people, meaning Africans, black people. Today is AKANFO NANASOM Day, Ancient Authentic Akan Ancestral Religion Day. My name is Odwirafo Kwesi Nehem Ptah Akhan. Odwirafo Nation in North America within Odwiraman, the purified nation, Apurakani people in the Western Hemisphere. Yet I say we thank you for tuning in to the broadcast once again. For those who are new to the broadcast, we have 4 broadcasts on a weekly basis. We have AKANFO NANASOM, Ancient Authentic Akan Ancestral Religion on Joda on Monday nights. We have, and we'll get into that, details about that. We have Ojira Purification on Tuesday nights, dealing with Apurakani Ancestral Religion in general and how it impacts every aspect of our lives. As Apurakani people, we deal with all kinds of information on that broadcast. On Wednesday night, Awukuda, Akuada, we have Egua Marketplace Day. We showcase Apurakani businesses, organizations, and institutions, those who are serving the Apurakani community in a positive capacity, and those who are maintaining that African ancestral, Apurakani or African ancestral religious values in the process. We have our Okom economic development model, which is an economic development model rooted in our ancestral religious values. Part of that model is a strategy we call Starve the Beast and Feed the Pride. That means on a weekly basis, you make a decision, make a determination about what funds you would have potentially wasted with the whites and their offspring, and then you starve the beast and feed the pride. You reallocate funds away from those white businesses and redirect them to the business, organization, or institution of the week. We have targeted one Apurakani business, organization, or institution per week for 52 weeks. As a community, even as an individual, when you starve the beast and feed the pride and reallocate $10 or $15 away from a white business that you would have wasted in the course of a week and redirected to a black business, that's a transfer of $10 to $15. If 1,000 of our people engage that process, that is a transfer of $10,000 to $15,000 in the course of a 7-day period into a black business. No, we're not talking about new funds being generated. We're simply talking about the same funds that we would have anyway, but redirecting them to the Apurakani business, organization, or institution. A $10,000 infusion of capital in the course of 7 days will allow that business to hire black people immediately and permanently within a week's time, expand their products and services to us, and of course, that's a win situation. If we do not engage that process, of course, we leave that $10,000 in the hands of our enemies, the whites and their offspring, and therefore we are financing our own oppression when we do not starve the beast and feed the pride. So if we do not engage that process, then we're making ourselves suffer and empowering our enemies for no reason. So this is what we deal with on Egua Marketplace Day, on Awukuda, Akuada Wednesday nights. On Yauda, which is also called Yada and Abada Thursday nights, we have Sem, Affairs of the Nation, and we deal with Apurakani approaches, analysis from a nationist perspective, and Amaniye perspective, dealing with Apurakani nationalism, the purification of nationalism, a nationist perspective with regard to current events, different events that are taking place within our community, and how we, to our approach, perceive or real obstacles, overcome them from our own perspective so we can continue the process of Amaniye nationalism and its correlation, Amaosu, which is nation building, restoration. So this is what we deal with that broadcast, Amaowia. For tonight, we have AKANFO NANASOM, Ancient Authentic Akan Ancestral Religion. Now, we deal specifically with AKANFO NANASOM on JoJo Monday nights, specifically the Akan expression of ancestral religion, first and foremost because we are Akhan, secondly because of the misinformation that is being propagated in the Western Hemisphere, also on the continent, from Afro-Akani people on the continent, in Ghana, Ivory Coast, those people who are Akhan who have been infected with white culture, pseudo-religion like Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Hinduism, and so forth, Buddhism, white culture in general. Infections have bled into the fabric of the culture to the extent that those who appear to be traditional, who have been infected over the past 150 plus years, their presentation of Akan cosmology, culture, religious practice, language, and so forth has been infected. We deal with ancient, authentic Akan ancestral religion. Akan people originated in ancient Khanat, which is a title of Nubia. Akan people established ourselves, part of a component part of the first people in the world, of course. Thousands of years ago, our people, after the fall of ancient Kamit, some of our people migrated west, reestablished the Akan or Khanat, Nubian Empire, the Kana Empire in the western part of the continent, the Empire of Ghana. 1,000 years later, some of our people migrated further south to reestablish Akana civilization or Akan civilization in the forest belt. And then some of our people, hundreds of years after that, were taken from those regions and forced into the Western Hemisphere, Central, South America, the Caribbean, and Europe during the Okra, the Great Perversity, the enslavement era. And this is how we ended up in the Western Hemisphere. We maintained Akana or Akan civilization and ancestral religion as we were forced to migrate into this hemisphere. Thus, in South America, in Suriname, for example, the Akan tradition is called Winti. In Jamaica, the Akan religion is called Obia. In North America, in the United States, the Akan religion is called Hoodoo, from the Akan term Undu, meaning medicine from roots, trees, plant life, as well as mineral life. Undu also means to become heavy with the spirit through conjuring the spirits of the Abosom and Nananom Nsamanfo, the deities, and the ancestral spirits. Conjure is a term that is a corruption of kanche, which is an Akan term meaning to speak incantations to bring down the spirits. So Undu and kanche became pronounced hoodoo and kanje and conjure in North America. We maintained our ancestral religious traditions. We continue to be possessed by the Abosom, the forces in nature, as well as our Nananom Nsaman for our spiritually cultivated ancestresses and ancestors, and therefore AKANFO NANASOM, ancient, authentic Akan ancestral religion, continued and continues in our blood circles in North America. We are not dependent on anyone outside of our direct blood circles for our ancestral religion, for our Akan ancestral religion. We're not dependent on individuals in Ghana, Ivory Coast. We're not dependent on any individuals anywhere outside of our direct blood circles. We have been transmitting AKANFO NANASOM in the form of hoodoo for hundreds of years, intergenerationally and transcarnationally, right here in the Western Hemisphere in North America. So this is what we deal with. Tonight's broadcast is building upon the three-part series that we had last week on the male divinity Maa, the male divinity of divine law and balance, the counterpart and balance of the female divinity Ma'at. And we went into a great deal of information dealing with the deity It built upon a previous broadcast called the Ntoro god Ma'a and his relationship to the Ntoro goddess Ma'at. We did that broadcast a while ago. This three-part series we did last week on the god Ma'a, the Abosom Ma'a, the Ntoro Ma'a, went into a great amount of detail regarding his cosmological functions in creation, how he exists and manifests in the Meru text, the pyramid text, as well as the Runu Pertim Heru, so-called Book of the Dead, another text as well as how he manifests in Akan culture, as well as Yoruba culture and Vodun and so forth. So you check out that 3-part series because it's a great deal of information. Of course, this will be a component of an upcoming book that we'll be publishing soon. We wanted to get this information out. We wanted to expand on that theme to deal with 2 praise names of Maa and Maat in Akan tradition. Now, as we said earlier, information coming from AKANFO Akan people on the continent in Ghana and Ivory Coast who've been infected with white culture, it corrupts the presentation of the ancestral religion. One major manifestation of that is the idiocy, the foolishness of attempting to force the idiocy of monotheism on Akan people. No Afro-Akani people, no African black people have ever been monotheists. Monotheism is pure stupidity. It's idiotic. Only a clown would embrace the idea of monotheism. The whites and their offspring did not have any religion at all. When they came in contact with our people invading Afro-Akai, that's when they first came in contact with religious practice. No deity, the great mother and great father, supreme being, do not deal with the whites and their offspring. None of the forces in nature deal with the whites and their offspring. They repel the whites and their offspring. No different than the immune system within your body, which is directed by you as an organism. The immune system cells, when they come in contact with cancerous cells that develop within your body, the immune system is directed to kill those cancerous cells, as well as other free radicals, viral agents, and so forth. They do not say that, well, since these cells are part of this great human organism, then we're all cells in the body, so we need to all come together and show them love. You direct your immune system to isolate and kill the cancerous cells and destroy them. That is the proper and divine approach to dealing with cancerous cells. The same is true in the body of the Supreme Being. The cancerous cells within the great divine body of the Supreme Being are the whites and their offspring. There's white Europeans, white Americans, white Hindus, white Arabs, white Asians, white Latinos, white pseudo Native Americans who are just invading Asians. All non-black people are the whites and their offspring. They are spirits of disorder who incarnate as spirits of disorder without exception. They are spirits that do not have a ka, a ka'et, a kra, a krawa, a soul, a divine consciousness, a deity that dwells in the head region. So all of the whites and their offspring are spirits of disorder. The Supreme Being does not deal with them at all. Aminet and Amen, called Nyamewa, Nyame, the great mother and great father in the Akan tradition. The Supreme Being, Abosom, the deities, the children of the Supreme Being that regulate creation, regulate order in creation. They do not deal with the whites and their offspring. The Orisha and the Gungun do not deal with the whites and their offspring. They repel. The Vodou and Kuvito do not deal with the whites and their offspring. So, this is true just across the board. Now, the whites and their offspring did not have religion when they came in contact with us. They learned about religion, but they have no capacity to practice religion because religion, in essence, is the ritual incorporation of divine law and the ritual restoration of divine laws. That means through ritual, we incorporate those things, objects, deeds, and entities we need to incorporate in order to harmonize our thoughts, intentions, and actions with divine order. And through ritual, we reject those things, objects, deeds, and entities we need to reject in order to realign ourselves, restore our thoughts, intentions, and actions with divine order, rebalance ourselves, and align ourselves with divine order. So the ritual incorporation of divine law and the ritual restoration of divine balance, these are the expansive and contractive poles of religion, ancestral religion. This is what we deal with. Through ritual, we invoke the Abosom, the deities, the forces in nature. We get possessed by the deities, the forces in nature, the spirits that embody order within creation, and they bring order into our lives, incorporating order and restoring balance, incorporating law and restoring balance. The whites and their offspring have no capacity to communicate with the Abosom, the forces in nature, they are repelled, just like a magnet will repel another magnet when the same polarities are facing. Whites and their offspring have no capacity to become possessed by the forces in nature. They are repelled by the forces in nature. They have no capacity to be possessed by the ancestresses and ancestors of AKANFO. They're repelled by the ancestresses and ancestors of AKANFO. They're repelled by Aauamuman and Nehem. So, because they could not practice real religion, they decided to manufacture a fake religion and attempt to force that on us in order to control our people. That took them over 2,000 years. They've been on this project for over 2,000 years. It's only been over the past 150 plus years that many of our people on the continent, for example, began to get involved in Christianity. It's been around much longer than that, but our people were not going for it. It's only been rather recently in Western, Central, and parts of South Africa that our people, some of our people got involved in the idiocy of Islam. Most of our people never got involved in that. It's been around for hundreds of years, but the vast majority of our people did not get involved, even though it's been around for hundreds of years. So this is a very recent phenomenon, even though the whites and their offspring have been trying to force this and manufacture and refine the idiocy and the perversity for over 2,000 years. So when they began that process, they manufactured the foolish idea of monotheism. They tried to say that there were no deities at all except for one supreme deity that they were the representatives of and the spokespeople of, and therefore they sought through that political ploy to get us to obey them by obeying their fake deity, their fake white deity, or fake invisible deity that had white representatives. So this is where monotheism comes from. It is idiotic, pure stupidity. Some of our people have become brainwashed. They believe that monotheism is superior, polytheism is inferior, so they're scared to say that our ancestral religious practices, meaning real religion, is polytheistic. The only real religion that exists and has ever existed and ever will exist are the various expressions of Akan or African ancestral religion. All of the pseudo-religious practices, Buddhism, Hinduism, Christianity, Islam, Judaism, pseudo-esotericism, Kabbalism, Sufism, Gnosticism, pseudo-Native Americanism, all of that idiocy, these are pseudo-religious practices, pseudo-spirituality. And of course, one of our books, Rekit Hena Speret, the etymology and cosmology of religion and spirit, we properly define the terms religion and spirit, which can be found in the Medusa, the language of ancient Kemet, rooted in our cosmology. Religion and spirit are identical. It is fake religion that is not identical with spirituality. So this idiocy about we're not religious, we're spiritual beings, and we're not into religion, that's all white nonsense that our people have been repeating. And as you can see how easily some of our people have fallen into those foolish doctrines, the same is true where some of our people on the continent fall into foolish doctrines like monotheism because they fear telling the truth about their own because they've been brainwashed. This is why when you look in the Akan tradition as promoted on the continent, they will seek to conflate various deities into one. And they'll try to say that Nyame, the great father, is the supreme being. They don't mention Nyamewa because they've been infected with Christianity and Islam. They pretend as though Nyamewa doesn't exist, the great mother, and there's just a great father. That notion of there's only a male deity is a dissexual, homosexual idea coming from the whites and their offspring that our people have embraced. Nyame is the great father, Nyamewa is the great mother. In reality, they don't mention Nyamewa at all. Many of them don't even know that she exists because they've been so colonized. Then they take other divinities like Nyonkompong, Obuade, Odumankuma, Tredriampong, Tete Kwaframwa, these different deities, and pretend as though these are just different names or titles of Nyame, because he's the monotheistic God and these are just different honorific titles of him. Pure stupidity. So we have proven that irrefutably. The problem comes in when, as we said, we have infected individuals on the continent raised in white culture, Christianity, colonization, And then you have black people in the Western Hemisphere who've been raised in the same fashion. But even when you have black people who got involved in Pan-Africanism and began to embrace ancestral culture and religion, then they go to the continent to study. They may get initiated as priests and priestesses, Okompo and Abosompo and Osofo and so forth, study the culture with the people there, repatriate there, whatever they do, or come back here, whatever mixture of that experience they have. But they're learning from infected elders and elderesses with misinformation, worshiping spirits that are not even Abosom, not even deities, and passing them off as actual deities. And because they've learned from infected elders and elderesses, infected academics on the continent, and those spiritualists on the continent who have been practicing a pseudo-spirituality, not dealing with actual Abosom, not dealing with actual deities, but dealing with discarnate spirits of their relatives that they're passing off as deities, then those who are even Pan-Africanists and involved in culture and studying the culture and getting initiated and going to universities and studying and teaching and all of that connected to the continent, they're still promoting misinformation, false information, totally false information. So we correct that in our publications. For example, in Yonkumpon and in Yonkuntong, Ra and Raet, we prove irrefutably that in Yonkuntong and in Yonkumpon, the creator and creatress are Ra and Raet from ancient Kemet. In Yonkumpon is actually Nankumpon. Nanka is a title actually of Ra in ancient Kemet. Ra, the book of the cow of heaven, is called Ra-ku or Ra-ka, and Ra-ka becomes Dan-ka. In Ivory Coast, where there are 9 million Akhan people, you have 11 million Akhan people in Ghana, almost the same amount, 20 plus million together, total in West Africa, but about 9 million in Ivory Coast, 11 million in Ghana. In Ivory Coast, you have Akhan people who call the divinity Edanga, Odanga, Ananga, Nyanka. In Ghana, you say Nyanka or Nyanko, different variations. But it comes from Raka, became Daka, Nanka. Nanka, Pong means the great Pong, circular, Pong, Nanka, serpent, who's the creator of the world. Nankapong, right? Dankapong is the circular serpent. Of course, Ra in ancient Kemet is the creator of the universe. His symbol is the circular serpent, the rainbow serpent with the circle around the Aten, circle around the sun, the circular body around the sun. Onyonkon Tone is the arched Tone, Nanka, the arched serpent, the rainbow serpent who is the creatress of the world. We show in our book that Ra and Raet and Yonkumpon and Yonkuntone are the rainbow serpents, the creator and creatress of the universe. We show in the Yoruba tradition the rainbow serpents, Odumare and Oshumare, the circular serpents that swallow their tails, and the rainbow serpents are the creator and creatress. In the Vodun tradition, Da and Idafuedo are the circular serpents who swallow their tails, the rainbow serpents, the creator and creatress of the universe. And the same, of course, in Akhan. This is why they say in Yonkuntone in general means rainbow, Konton Krowi means circular rainbow, and so forth. In Yonkumpon and in Yonkuntone, we have shown the proper etymology. We show the proper etymologies of Odumankuma as well as Tredriampon. Odumankuma is Atim Kepra, Atim Kopa in Akhan. Tredriampon is a title of Kepra in ancient Kemet. Just like Atim Kepra or Atim Odumankuma is Atim from ancient Kemet. We proved that in our book, Odumankuma and Tredriampon. We also did a broadcast dealing with Tetekwa Framwa. We've done other broadcasts as well. Obuadie is actually the deity Ptah. Tredriampon is Kepra, Tetekwa Framwa. We have Baneb Deda and so forth. So we have gone through these different divinities proving who they are. And in Yonkumpon and Yonkuntone, of course, being Ra and Raet, and showing that Asase Nebet Tepet, the wife of Tim, and Asase Nebet Pet, the wife of Kepra, is Asase Afu and Asase Ya and Akhan, the two Earth Mother divinities, just as they are Earth Mother divinities in ancient Kemet. So we show all these different actual deities. So these are not names of the one monotheistic God These are actually different deities with different functions in creation. We've proven that in our books and other broadcasts. We're doing the same tonight. The names Amaowia and Amaosu, they will say simply mean the giver of sunshine and the giver of rain, simply being titles of Inyonkopon, the great monotheistic God, or Nyame, the great monotheistic God. And of course, that is totally inaccurate. Amaowia and Amaosu are the male and female forces of divine law and balance. These are descriptive titles of Maat and Maa. Now, when we did our broadcast, the Ntoro God Maa and his relationship to the Ntoro goddess Maat, we talked about Maa and Maat as the male and female forces of divine balance, those polarities of divine balance in creation, manifest as the twin divinities that balance out all of creation. Everything is standing upon or founded upon Maa and Maat. They're the foundation for all things with regard to law, the unfolding of creation. We show that as those forces of divine balance, those twin divinities, they are Abam and Maat and Akan, these twin divinities. They are the Ibeji in the Yoruba tradition, the twin Orisha. They're the Ho-Ho divinities in Vodun, the twin divinities. We talked about that in that broadcast. We want to focus on their descriptive titles here, Amaowia and Amaosu. So first and foremost, you can see right away, Maat and Maa. If you look at the root, Maa-owia and Maa-osu, or Amaowia and Amaosu. Owia is the term for the sun in Akhan. Owia or Ebria means the sun. Abria can also mean sunshine. So Amaowia or Maa-owia, they'll say is the giver of the sunshine, but actually it's Ma, the deity Maa or Maat of the Owia of the sun, and the deity Maa of the Osu, because Osu means water, Nsio means water, Osu means rain, Asio means river, but the root is Su, meaning dealing with water. So why are they related? Why is there an Ma or Maa of the sun, sunshine, or the sun? And why is there a Maa of the water? What is the relationship of Maat and Maa to the sunshine or the sun and water? Why are they called that? What is the cosmological foundation for that? Are they just the givers of the sun and givers of the water? What is the foundation? So we can go into the text and we can find the cosmological foundation that goes back thousands of years, manifest in ancient Kemet, that proves exactly why Akhan people call them by these descriptive titles to give the nuance to their functions in creation, not just Maa and Maat, but Amaria as Maat and Maosu or Amaosu as Maa. So first the term Ma or Maa. We know, of course, the term Maa means law, balance, what is straight, and because it's dealing with law and balance with what is straight, it also infers that which is righteous, true, right, upstanding, and so forth. The root term Ma also means to give in ancient Kemet. So when you look at the Medusa, the term Ma'a means straight, it means law, it means balance, upright, righteous, those things, but it also means to give. To give in the sense of giving something, and you see the forearm with the palm open and turned upwards. When you see someone's arm or their hand sticking out like that, it can mean they're giving you something. That's why Ma means to give. It can also mean to receive something. It could also mean to reveal something. When you open your hands, you're revealing that you have nothing there, you have nothing to hide, you're being open, you're being honest. So you can be giving, you can be waiting to receive with your handouts. When you see that medut of the open hand, it can be giving, it can be receiving, it can be revealing. So the term Ma meaning to give, but Ma also means not just any kind of giving, but an obligatory giving, an obligatory giving or obligatory giving, a sacrificial offering, that kind of giving, giving as a sacrifice, sacrificial offering, giving to the Abosom to provoke their energy, provoke their power, giving in that sense. The term Ma meaning to give in ancient Kemet, you look at the term in Akan, Ma also means to give. And of course, when you look at thousands of words in the hieroglyphic dictionary, you find the exact same words, the same definitions in Akhan. So Ma means to give in ancient Kemet, Ma means to give in Akhan. But there are other definitions of to give in Akhan. So if you look at the term Ma, it can mean to give, to hand, to communicate, to bestow, to confer, impart, grant, to present. You look in the hieroglyphic dictionary, Ma means to grant, to give, to bestow, and so forth. Another definition, further definition in Akhan for Ma, it doesn't just mean to give in that sense, but it also means to hold up, to elevate, to exalt, to elate. So when you're giving something, you can give of yourself. Once you hand it over and give and so forth, you hold up, your hand is open. You see that medut, the hieroglyph of the open hand, the forearm, the bottom part of the forearm, bottom part of the arm, including the forearm and the open hand, and the hand is sticking out. It's giving, but it also means to hold up, to elevate, to exalt. And that's very key. To raise, to lift up. So when you see the hand sticking out, it can be giving, but giving doesn't just mean to give you a gift. You can give somebody support. Somebody falls over, you catch them, you give them support, you support them, you lift them up, you raise them up with your open hand. And the medut, the hieroglyph of the open hand, is showing that. So it not only means to give or to grant, but it means to raise up, to lift up, and to support, and so forth. And so that's an Akhan. Now, when you look in ancient Kemet, Ma'a means to give in the sense of giving, just regular, but also a sacrificial, obligatory offering. But then it also shows in the Medutu that notion of lifting up, raising up, elevating. Where does it show lifting up, raising up, and elevating? If you look at the Medut itself, the hieroglyph itself, one of the symbols is the open arm, or the arm with the open hand. Another symbol is the sickle, and the eye and so forth. But the other symbol is the plinth. That's the major symbol, one of the major symbols of Maat and Maa, the plinth, which is an elevation of earth. It's an elevation of earth, a mound, but then it has a flat top. And that symbol itself is Ma'a, and then when you have the symbol for the T, it's Ma'at, the male and female versions of it. The symbol, the plinth, the elevation of earth with a flat top, and then the elevation of earth with the flat top, Ma'a with the T, to feminize it, Ma'at, Ma'a and Ma'at. So you have an elevation of earth, and you see the deities standing upon that elevation of earth, because it's an elevation of earth that has risen up, but then the top is flat, so it's a firm foundation with a flat surface that they can stand upon. So you see the deities like Ptah and Ma'at and Alsar and Ra and different divinities all standing upon Ma'at, standing upon that firm foundation, that elevation of earth, which is firm with a flat top, which gives them that straight balance. Now, when you see them standing on that, that's the definition in Akhan of Ma, not only means to give, but giving support, to raise, to lift up, to elevate, to exalt. So the exact definition of Ma'a in Akhan, meaning to pray, to raise, to lift up, to elevate, to exalt, is the actual symbol in ancient Kemet of Ma'a, which is elevates, exalts, lifts up, supports, gives support for the deities of creation, that elevation of earth with the flat top. And this is why Ma'a means foundation, that which is true, that which is straight, that which is unwavering, and so forth, because if it can elevate the divinities and keep them on a firm foundation and a balanced foundation and in a state of equilibrium, then that's what it is. That's what that plinth is. And of course, they use the plinth in carpentry and so forth to make sure something is flat, straight, and has a firm foundation. Now, when you look in the text of ancient Kamit, so first you have the general term Ma'a means to give in ancient Kamit, also an obligatory sacrificial offering, giving in Kamit. You have the term Ma, meaning to give in Akan. You have the term Ma'a, meaning divine law and balance in ancient Kamit. You have Ma'a as well as Mara in Akan. Mara meaning law in Akan. You have Ma Ker or Ma'a Sher, meaning true, a voice, one who speaks. Sher, the divine law. Ma'a in ancient Kamit. You have Mara She in Akan, meaning one who commands. She, the Mara, the law in Akan. So you have Ma'a to give, Ma'a, a sacrificial offering, Ma'a She, to speak the divine law. In ancient Kamit, you have Ma'a to give, Ma'ara, law, Ma'ara She, to speak or command the law, to legislate in Akan. But you have that Ma, meaning to give, to raise up, to elevate, to hold up, to lift up, to support, to give support in Akan. And the symbol Ma'a literally is the symbol of that which elevates the deities, gives them a place of support to stand upon so they can have that foundation to stand in the world. They are the embodiments of divine order and creation. They have that firm foundation to stand upon. There's a textual reference to prove that. In the book of knowing the manifestations of Ra and of overthrowing Apep, the so-called Nessi Min papyrus or the Bremner Ren papyrus and so forth, when Atem is speaking about how he's concretizing the world at the beginning of creation, fashioning the world, Atem is a functionary of Ra, a child of Ra and Ra'et. In that particular text, Atem is called Neb Er. Of course, the female divinity is Nebet Er Jerit. So for those fools who are talking about Atem is monotheistic, and Neb Er is the supreme being, that's pure foolishness. Neb Er Jerit is a feminine divinity. Neb Er is simply a title of Atem, and he is not the supreme being. Atem is the son of Ra. Ra is the son of Nun and Nunet. Nun and Nunet are the son and daughter of Amen and Amenet. So the creator and creatress, Ra and Ra'et, are the grandchildren of Amen and Amenet and work in subordination to Amen and Amenet. And Atem works under Ra as a functionary of Ra. So Atem comes to concretize the creative, what has been created by Ra and Ra'et, what has been brought into being because of the actions of Ra and Ra'et, the creator and creatress, when they're creating the universe. Once they create the universe and the primordial mound is forced up from under the surface of the water for the first landmass to emerge from the primordial waters at the creation of the world, Atem comes in the red setting sun, and you will see Atem in the red setting sun when the red setting sun sets in the west and penetrates the earth, so to speak. That red fiery energy concretizes that primordial mound, dries it out, concretizes it, and makes it firm. That's why the name Tim means to come to an end. It also means to finish, to complete. It also means hard contact, compact substance. With that fiery energy, just like the fire of an oven or a kiln is used when you have pottery, that you've used water on the clay to fashion the pot into whatever form you like. Once you've done that, then you take that wet clay pot and you stick it in a fiery kiln and oven to harden or concretize what you have fashioned. When Ptah fashions the earth, the primordial earth, after it has been risen from the primordial water, fashions that primordial mound, then Atem comes, sets on the primordial mound within the red burning sun to concretize and harden that primordial mound. This is why Atem says in the book of knowing the manifestations of Ra and overthrowing Apep, that in the beginning he could not find a place whereupon he could stand. And then he said he used his own illumination within his heart and laid a foundation, sent. The word for foundation is sent in ancient Kamit. It is Asent in Akhan. Ase means foundation in Akhan, a base. Sank means foundation in ancient Kemet. Atem says he could not find a place whereupon he could stand, so he laid a foundation, sank in and through the god Ma'a. Not the goddess Ma'at in this text, but the god Ma'a. And we talked about that in part 1 of that series last week. Ma'a, the male divinity of divine law, and we showed that in the text. He laid a foundation, sank in the god Ma'a. Then he created every attribute. So the first thing Atem did was laid a foundation, sank through the god Ma'a, and laid a foundation of Ma'a, that primordial mound that rose up out of primordial water that was fashioned by Ptah. Atem concretized it. He made that primordial mound a mound with a flat top, and he concretized it, laying the foundation in and through Ma'a. So the primordial mound became a flat top. That primordial earth became flattened out, and now was a strong foundation upon which he could stand. And this is why you see the different divinities standing on that flat top plant. The first thing that Atem gives to the world in creation, and he's working in concert with Asase Nebethetepet, the female divinity. Sometimes they'll spell it Usas or Usaset, I-U-S-A-A-S-E-T, A-U-S-A-A-S-E-T. It's not Aset, but Usaset or Asaset. We know it's Asase because she's the same Asase Afua, the Earth Mother in Akhan. And he is Odwiraman and Akan. Odwiraman and Asase Afua are Atumukopa or Atimukopa and Asase Nebethetepet in ancient Kemet. So he's working in concert with her to fashion this primordial mound. So he concretizes the primordial mound with the flat top. The divinities can operate. They can take up residence, as it says in the Shabaka text. Ptah fashioned different aspects of earth, different features of earth, and fashioned them into specific shrines. And then the deities took up residence in these different areas of earth in their natural shrines, whether it was in rivers, mountainous regions, other various regions of earth, natural shrines, their fashioning. Atem concretized that which was fashioned. Then the Abosom took up residence in their natural shrines in nature. But first, Atem has to concretize that foundation that was laid, so it could be a firm foundation. This foundation that he laid in and through Ma'a, in the form of that Ma'a, that foundation, flat top mound, that plinth that we replicate when we use a plinth in carpentry and so forth. That's the first thing that he gave to the world. Ma'a, laid a foundation in Ma'a. Creation unfolded according to Ma'a, divine law. So the first thing that is given, which means to give to the world, is Ma'a, divine law, foundation, that which is straight, that which is real, that which is quote unquote righteous, that which is raised up, that which is elevated or exalted. To give, to express, when you put your hand out and give something, that's expansion. You're giving something. When you take something away, that's contraction. When you give, that's expansion. This is why we talk about MMARA, divine law, is the expansive pole of order. Divine hate is the contractive pole of order. Creation comes into being through divine law. The unfolding of creation, the expansion of creation unfolds according to divine law. But creation is maintained in its order through divine hate, the contracting force. Anything that seeks to disturb the order is contracted upon, destroyed, stamped out. Like your immune system stamping out, contracting upon cancer cells and getting rid of them. So your growth and development, your expansion can continue. So the first thing that is given, Ma'a, to give, is Ma'a, that which is given, divine law. Obligatory offering, sacrificial offering. The first sacrificial obligatory offering ever given was Atem giving divine law, laying a foundation in Ma'a. That's the first thing that's given to creation. This is why Ma'a means to give. Ma'a means to elevate, to raise up. Ma'a means to exalt, to lift up, and so forth. Now that we have an understanding of Ma'a in both languages, and the cosmological foundation for the term Ma, meaning to give, Ma'a meaning to give, rooted in the first act of creation after concretizing that primordial mound. And now the deities can stand upon that flat-topped mound, that Ma'a, that which is straight. And therefore, later, once you start dealing with human interaction, that which is straight is also that which is true, that which is right, that which is righteous, that which is correct, that which is rooted in morality, moral rectitude, moral consciousness, reformation, and so forth. It's all based on what is given by Atem and Asase Nebetepet in the beginning of creation, that Ma'a. Now, the term Ma'a, meaning to give, is also spelled the same as the term Ma'a, dealing with divine law, and Ma'at, dealing with divine law. So, why is it Maa-owia and Akan, to give or giver or elevator or raiser up of the sun? Owia meaning sun, Ma'a meaning, as we have seen now, not only to give the sun, or is it to give the sun or give sunshine? What are they saying? Is it to raise up or elevate, lift up the sun or sunshine, to exalt the sun or sunshine? Now we're getting into some more details. Now, when you look at Kamit again, the cosmological foundation for these titles, and this is something that the Ghanaians who've been corrupted by misinformation of white culture and so forth, they cannot give you the definition of Amaowia is the name of this divinity, because they don't know it, because they've been corrupted by white culture. As soon as you reject white culture, you get the information. As long as you hold on to white culture and try to weave it into your practice, then you're always going to have misinformation. So those native Ghanaians who have allowed that corruption to infect their culture, whether they are academics or whether they're people who are not academics but involved in their traditional culture, but allow Christianity and other aspects of white culture to infect, they don't have this definition. Those Pan-Africanists who have come from this part of the world, Western Hemisphere, been initiated as priests, priestesses, kings, queen mothers, and so forth, and have guas, quote-unquote, stools, and go back and forth, they don't have the information either, because they've learned from infected elders. Those who've gone and repatriated and studied under not only the white Nile Spring, but under native Ghanaians and so forth, native AKANFO, studied under infected elders, they don't have this information either, and this is why we are the first to put this information out. Now, what does Amaowia mean? The giver of the sun. Dealing with Amaowia first, and then Amaosu second. Owia means the sun. Ama, the root is Ma or Ma'a. We're talking about here Ma'at. When you look in ancient Kamit, you see that Ra, the creator, operates through the sun, but he's not the sun. Ra and Rida, the creator and creatress, their divine power animates all things. They created the sun and all the stars and everything else. They utilize the sun and other stars as transmitters of their divine energy. No different than somebody taking a laser and using that to transmit some energy. So they utilize the sun to transmit their energy. You see Ra in his boat sailing across the sky. You see Ra sitting in the boat, and then you see the big disk of the sun sitting in front of Ra very often. So he's sailing in the solar boat or the solar bark. From sunrise, he gets in the boat. He takes the form of an avian animal totem, a falcon. He's sitting in the boat. The sun is in front of him in the boat, and they sail across the sky during the 12 hours of the day. The sky is seen as a big mass of water, a watery mass, so of course they sail in the boat so the fire of the sun is not put out. They sail across the sky for the 12 hours of the day. Then when the sun sets, that means that boat docks in the western hemisphere, or in the land of the west, the western mountain range. When that boat docks, then they disembark from that boat, the day boat of the sun, and then they get in the night boat. And when they get in the night boat, they sail in the underworld, and you see Ra in the form of a ram, flat-horned, ram-headed. When he was flying through the sky, he was a falcon-headed divinity, an avian animal. when he's sailing through the underworld, under the quote-unquote ground and so forth, sailing in the 12 hours of the night, he takes the form of a land animal. The flat-horned ram, he's called Afu-Ra. Ra operating through the Afu, within the flesh, inside of matter. Afu-Ra. So he's sailing in the night boat. And they sail, him and his entourage sail through the night boat through the 12 hours of the night until they get to the horizon. And in the 12th hour of the night, they switch boats once again. He discards that flesh, that Afu, and he goes from being Afu-Ra, encased in matter. It's like you take a deep breath, you pull in air from outside, you pull it into your body. Now that air is inside your body, encased in flesh. It's encased in your Afu, your flesh. So you can call it Afu air. But when you blow the air back out, it's no longer encased in your flesh. It's no longer Afu air or encased air. It is now just air. When Ra is moving through the sky, he's Ra. When he's moving through matter, when the solar energy penetrates matter and is heating up matter, the fire is inside your body, heating you up, then that fire is encased in matter. It's called Afu-Ra. And Ra'ed is called Afu-Ra'ed, Afra'ed, as well as Afri and Ifri, depending on the style. So once he gets to the 12th hour of the night in the underworld, he discards that flesh. He goes from being Afu-Ra back to being Ra. He transforms back into the falcon, gets in the day boat, and sails back up into the sky, and sails right across the sky. The day boat, the boat that carries the sun, which in ancient Kemet is called Aten and Akan is called Uriah, that boat itself is called the Ma'a boat, as well as the Ma'at boat. And the deity Ma'at herself is sitting in the front of the boat, and she is directing the boat. So you see Ma'at sitting there. She's straight and has the capacity to properly align through divine law, straightness. She guides the direction of the boat throughout the course of the day. So the Ma'a boat, the Ma'at boat, is the boat of the solar boat of the day. It's the solar arc of the day. When that boat sets, then they get out the boat, and then you get into the Sektet boat, or Meseket boat, boat, and so forth. Sometimes they'll spell it Sektet. Sometimes they'll spell it Sektet. Different ways they spell it. But that's the night boat. So they get out of the day boat. He transforms into a land animal and gets into the night boat, the Sektet boat, and then sails through the underworld for the 12 hours of the night. But during the day, when they get in the day boat, the sun gets into the boat of Ma'a and Ma'at, and she is in the boat as well, and lifts up the sun from the horizon, lifts it up into the sky, and carries it across the sky. Uriah, the giver, Ma'a of the Uriah, the sun. Ma'a or Ma'at, this is really Ma'at Uriah. This is the Ma'at boat of the day. It is literally the one that raises up or lifts up. Ma'a means raise, to lift up, to exalt. It literally lifts up the Uriah, the sun. The Ma'a boat or Ma'at boat during the daytime lifts up the sun, literally. That's why in Akan, the term Ma'a not only means to give, as in giving and unfolding and expressing, because expression is giving, contraction is hiding. So expression, expansion. We talk about divine law, the expansive pole of order, divine hate, the contractive pole of order. Divine law, through divine law, you expand and you express divine order and so forth. When you give, you're expressing, you're expanding. When you take away, you're contracting. You're impressing and you're contracting. But when you give, you're expanding. You open your hands, you spread your arms out, you give, you're expanding. It's expansive. So law is expansive, hate is contracting. And remember, law and love is the same word in our languages. So divine law or love is expansive, divine hate is contracting. It's like breathing in and out, inhaling and exhaling and so forth, expanding and contracting. Taking in what you need when you expand, like when you're breathing, taking all the nutrients you need. But then when you exhale, you're expelling the toxins that would otherwise cause you to be ill if you kept them in. So you inhale to expand, exhale to contract. You take in food, that's expansion. You consume food, you expand, and you take the nutrients into your system and so forth, so that you can fuel yourself. But at some point, the toxins that you do not need and the weights you do not need, you must contract and eliminate and force out of your system. Expansion and contraction. These are the dynamics of life. These are the dynamics of form. These are the dynamics of order in creation. Expansion and contraction. Law and hate, or love and hate. Expansion and contraction. So that law boat, the Ma'a boat, is literally the one that Ma'a gives the sun to the world, literally. It brings that solar boat into the world, Ma'a, to give, that sacrificial obligatory offering to give. It raises up, lifts up, exalts, elevates, Ma'a, the Oya, the sun. This is what the goddess Ma'at is doing in the boat. She's in the boat, directing that boat to govern the 12 hours of the day. She's giving us the sun. She's directing that solar energy so it can unfold in our lives in a orderly, lawful fashion. So she's directing the flow of energy through her divine motion. That's Maa-owia or Maa-owia. This is why we call her that. This is not a title of Nyankompon as the giver of sunshine. Does it mean giver of sunshine? In a sense, it does mean giver of sunshine, but it's not Nyankompon or Ra as the giver of sunshine. It is Ma'at, operating through the Ma'at boat, literally picking the sun up and giving it to the world. She is the giver of sunshine, directing the life force energy on a straight path, properly disseminating it throughout creation. Maa-owia, giver of the sun. She is not the sun. She's not the power operating inside the sun that's enlivening everything. Ra and Ra'et is the power inside of the sun enlivening everything. But that divine power must be directed in a straight path, in a path that's harmonious. It must be regulated in a proper fashion. You can have solar energy that warms you up outside, but if you're not living in harmony with it, you can stand outside for too long and get burned and get sunburned and even die. So it has to be taken in because you're totally dependent on solar energy. If you don't receive it, then you're not going to survive. But it has to be taken in a harmonious way according to the laws that govern your makeup. So that solar energy must be directed and must be regulated. This dispensation must be directed. So Ma'a literally gives you the sun because the sun is in her boat, the Ma'a boat. And she lifts it up, Ma'a, gives it Ma'a, and directs it Ma'a properly. That's Amaowia or Maa-owia, Ma'at-owia, literally. This is something that no Ghanaian academic, no Pan-Africanist academic can give you that information because they've been infected with white culture. And this is why they've been misinforming on these titles of these divinities for decades, putting forth the false notion that this is just a title of the one true God. Totally inaccurate. There's a whole cosmology dealing with this force in creation as one half of the divine law of creation. The other half of the divine law of creation, and of course law itself is expansive and contractive, Ma'an, Ma'at. That's one half of the divine order. In divine hate is expansive and contractive, Heru, Bedeti, and Sekhmet, called Benna and Abena in the Akhan tradition, Ogun and Iyamiabini in the Yoruba tradition, Ogu and Ananu and Vodun. So you have divine law, which is expansive and contractive, Ma'an, Ma'at. Then you have divine hate, Benna and Abena, which is contractive. We dealt with Ma'at, now the divinity Ma'a, and we dealt with his cosmology in that three-part broadcast. We talked about how it's the deity Ma'a. We talked about when the sun sets, that solar boat sets in the west. Then everybody gets out of the solar boat, the Ma'a boat, and then they get inside the Sektet boat for the journey through the 12 hours of the night. And they're sailing in the river of the 12 hours of the night in the Duat, in the so-called spirit realm. The Duat is one of the titles of that. Here's the key. When we talked about the deity Ma'a, the male force of divine law and balance, we talked about in the text of Kamit, in the Meru text, the pyramid text, coffin text, as well as the Runupert and Heru. When you make your transition, every single Afro-Akani person, African black person, when we make our transition, our spirits leave our bodies, we die, the bodies are buried and so forth. Before we can get to the ancestral realm, we must meet the divine ferryman, Ferry, of the ferry boat. There's a divine river that separates the physical world from the spirit realm, from the ancestral realm. In order to cross that river, we must get in the divine ferry boat governed by the divine ferryman. In the Akhan tradition, people will often put coins in the coffin of the person, because when they make their transition, they will take those coins and give them to the divine ferryman to pay him his fee so that he can ferry them across the river. The term for to cut in Akhan is chwa, and a ferry boat is an asyo chwa. Asyo means river, and chwa means to cut. Asyo chwa is the river cutter. That's the ferry boat that cuts across the river. Of course, when you get in a ferry boat, you're not getting in a ferry boat to sail up the river or down the river. The ferry boat is designed to go across the river to get you to the other side. So it's asyo chwa, the water or river cutter. We also showed that cha in ancient Kamit means to cut, and cha is also the term for the ferry boat in ancient Kamit. So it's the same name with the same meaning. And one of the titles of the divine ferryman is the Chwa person, or the Chwa deity. But his other name is Ma'a, as well as Ma'a Ha'af. He's a divine ferryman. So you get in the boat, just as it is in our Akhan tradition, you must meet the divine ferryman to cross the river that separates, that is the dividing line or the balancing line between the physical world and the spirit realm. Ma'a, the male force of divine law and balance, is the dividing line between and balancing line between the physical world and the spirit realm. You must meet Ma'a to cross over into the spirit realm. So you get on his divine ferry boat, but he will not allow you to cross unless you can prove that you live in harmony with divine order, unless you can prove that you were Ma'a care or Ma'at care, true of word, lived righteous, true of word, lived in harmony with divine order. So he subjects you to an interrogation. And we read a section of the interrogation. It's a very lengthy interrogation. And you have to prove that you knew who these different deities are, what their functions in creation are, and how you lived in harmony with them throughout the course of your life. And if you can pass that interrogation, then Ma'a will take you from the physical realm side that you just left and ferry you across the spirit realm. He will take you across that river of divine law and balance, so that you can be seated and grounded in the ancestral realm amongst the honored ancestresses and ancestors, so you can live a life of harmony in the ancestral world for a number of years, centuries, until it's time for you to reincarnate back into this world. And when it's time for you to reincarnate, you must meet him again to be ferried back across. When you're ferried back across, then you enter into the womb, and you're in the amniotic fluid, and you're floating in that water as well, and then eventually you're born. So you must meet Ma'a. All of us must meet Ma'a. When the boat of the sun sets, the Ma'a boat with Ma'at guiding it, she's in the solar boat. She just gave us the sun, the solar boat, the Oriya, Ma'at Oriya, Amaowia. She gave us the sun and so forth throughout the course of the day. When that boat sets, then the inhabitants disembark and they get in the night boat, the Sektet boat, or the Meh Sektet boat. And Ra takes the form of Akhfura, and they sail through the river that traverses the entire 12 hours of the night, the dividing line between the physical world and spirit realm. So when he enters into that boat, when you make your transition, when your sun sets in the west, meaning you die and so forth, and your spirit disembarks from your physical vessel, just like the inhabitants of the solar boat disembark from that vessel, and they're about to get into another vessel, you want to get into that other vessel as well, to be with Akhfura as well. But you first must cross that river. Who is the one that gives gives you that capacity to cross that river. The word for river is asuo in Akan. The root is su, S-U, su, which means water. So osu means rain. Nsuo means water. Asuo means river. And it's pronounced different ways. Some say asuo, some say asu. Some say osuo, some say osu, some say nsuo, some say nsu. These different variations of the term, but the root is su, meaning water. That's in Akan. Su means water. Nsu, asuo, osuo, and so forth. Su also means to drink, as in drinking water. It means a drink as well as to drink. We're talking about water, though. Nsa means liquor or hard drink, like palm wine. But nsu means the kind of drink dealing with water. Su meaning water. Su also meaning to take a drink of water, to drink. You look in the language of ancient Kemet, su means to drink. It also means a drink. It also means to take a drink. Su also means a lake, a pool. Sunu means a lake or a pool or an aqueduct or a canal. But then you also have Susu, which is a body of water in the duat, in the ancestral realm. Now we have the Asu that we're talking about connected to the ancestral realm. When the sun boat sets, the Ma'a boat sets, and Ma'a has already given us the sun, Maa-owia, then it's time to go into the other half of creation, the spirit realm. But you have to cross that Asu, that water, or that lake of water in the Dua, the Susu, in the Dua. And you have to meet the deity Ma'a, and you have to go through that interrogation, that judgment scene. We talked about the judgment scene of the heart being weighed against the feather of Ma'at in the Usech Ma'ati, the double hall or dual hall of Ma'at. That's her judgment scene. But then after you go through her judgment scene, then you have to go through a judgment scene with the deity Ma'a. And he interrogates you for an extensive period. So when you pass through his judgment, then he can take you across the Asuo. He's the Asuo Twafo, the Asuo water Twa cutter individual. That's what they call in Akhan, the Twa cutter, the one who cuts across the water. He's called Cha. A title of his is called Cha in ancient Kemet. The one who's in the Cha boat, the cutting boat, that takes you and ferries you across the water. This is why he's called Maa-osio, the Ma'a of the water. That sacred water, that sacred seal, that sacred river, that sacred seal, that sacred body of water in the duat, in the spirit realm, that you must get to when you've shown that you are righteous. So she gives you the sun, she gives you the boat of the sun and so forth, and the sun that's in the boat, Maa-owia, and then Maa-osio, the male divinity Ma'a, the dividing line between the physical world and the spirit realm, to go back and forth between the physical world and the spirit realm, cross that Asuo, that water. He's the one that regulates that Asuo, that water. He's Maa-osio or Amasu or Amosu. That's his title. We're talking about balance. One is going across the daytime, one is dealing with the nighttime. Expansion and contraction. These are the polarities of balance in creation. They're descriptive titles dealing with their manifestation as the polarities of balance in creation, expansion, and contraction. We also talked about their titles as Abam and Amame, dealing with their manifestations as the twins in creation. And of course, you have Abam, Kofi, Amam, Kofi, and Akhan, the male divinity, Omame, the female divinity. Omame, sometimes they'll say, oh, it just means the giver of satisfaction. That's all they can get from that, because they talk about Ma meaning to give, and Me meaning to satisfy or be satiated to satisfy. So they're like, well, Omame means the giver of satisfaction. Well, Ma does mean to give, as we said, but another title of Ma, or that definition of Ma, means to become full, fullness. Like if you're filling up a cup of water, once it becomes full, once again, you're talking about expansion. When she brings the boat of the sun into the sky, in the atmosphere, what happens to the atmosphere? First, it was pitch black. The entire quote-unquote earth as we can see it was pitch black. When Ma'a gives you the sun, or gives you the Oriya and the boat of the sun, when she lifts it up, Ma'a raises it up, Ma'a exalts it, elevates it, Ma'a Oriya, lifting up the sun and directs it, then the sunlight, Ma'a, fills up, Ma'a, fullness, Ma'a, fills up the entire sky. You don't see blackness anymore. That's expansion. Ma'a, law is the expansive pole of order, hate is the contractive pole of order. So, Ma'a, me, means the fullness, expansion that is satiated or satisfied and so forth. Ma, me, is talking about her capacity to fill up or expand through her functions in creation, the expansive pole of the twin energies in creation, Ma'a being the contractive pole and so forth. So, you have Abam and Amame. That's Ma'an Ma'at. You have Maa-owia, Maa-osu, or Amaowia and Amaosu, as it's pronounced, contracted. You're dealing with Maat and Maa, dealing with the physical world and the spirit realm, the balance in both aspects. Now, these, when you look at the broadcast that we did on the male divinity Ma'a, parts 1, 2, and 3. We go into detail about that detailed cosmology with those two divinities and the weighing of the heart, as well as the interrogation scene with the divinity Ma'a, and talking about the boats and the ferry boat and everything else. So you get some more detailed information on that, and you'll see the direct connections that we have made here with these titles of these divinities. This is information, once again, that until we released it, it was unknown. People on the continent, because they have been infected, don't know the cosmology undergirding these names. Of course, people who engage in Egyptology and chematology and so forth who are not involved in ancestral religion, they don't know where to look. So they've been talking about Ma'at, or sometimes they'll say Mayat. They've been talking about her for 20, 30 years, been writing books and doing articles and videos and presentations for 30 plus years. Never heard of the god Ma'a. He's always been there. He's in the text, the pyramid text, to the cosmos text, to the MMARA, all the way to the late period text, always has been there. They didn't know where to look because, once again, if you have a Eurocentric mindset and you try to make that Eurocentric mindset appear to be Afrocentric, so you're promoting atheism and other nonsense and blackface, monotheism and all this other nonsense, you don't know where to look. You don't know, you're not even directed to look in a specific area. When you actually deal with ancestral religion, engage that in the true sense, not a pseudo practice of ancestral religion, not engaging in being possessed by spirits that are not really deities and passing them off fraudulently as Abosom. When you're not engaged in the pseudo-religious practice but a real religious practice, then Ma'a and Ma'at, as well as the various divinities, will direct you to identify them, and they will show you exactly who they are and where to find evidence of who they are. They will direct you to invoke them. They will show up and communicate. They will possess. They will communicate through divination and so forth. This is part of hoodoo inform or hoodoo investigation, hoodoo analysis. Hoodoo is the Akan Ancestral Religion in North America. The reason we can get this information is because we practice hoodoo. We practice Akan Ancestral Religion that has been unbroken for hundreds of years. So the manner in which we were practicing Akan Ancestral Religion when we were forced away from the continent 300 plus years ago, the manner in which it was practiced then was fossilized in our bones and blood, and we passed that tradition on intergenerationally and transcarnationally over the past 300 years here. Whatever happened to them on the continent after we left, including the infection with Christianity and Islam and other pseudo-white fake religions and white culture in general, and pseudo-intellectualism, whatever happened since we left, that's a manifestation of what's going on right now. But we missed all of that. We ended up over here. Now, of course, many of our people were brainwashed here, but many people held on to the hoodoo tradition, the Akhan tradition, and passed it down intergenerational. The evidence of that is our capacity to identify these Abosom, to communicate with them, learn directly from them, get the information from them, as well as the places to look and verify exactly the truth of what they've shown us, and then convey that to others, and they can go right to those exact same texts and see what's been there hidden in plain sight all along. This is why, of course, Maa and Maa, they're shown as the two divine eyes, the Ma'ati, the left eye of Ra, the right eye of Ra, and so forth. So the Ma'ati, the two divine eyes, you'll see them as well, manifest in that form as well. So we're going to look in the chat room right quick. If you have any questions or comments, you can post in the chat room. If you have any questions or comments on the phone line, simply hit the number 1 so that we can see that your hand is raised and we can get to your question. For those who didn't see today, we created a new page on Facebook. We were getting close to the 5,000 friends mark. We're very close to that. So that's going to be the limit on our Facebook page. So what we did was we created just an author page on Facebook, and that way you don't have a limit. So people can like your page. It doesn't have to stop at 5,000. Please go to that Odwirafo page, the author page, and click like on that. We're going to be posting anything that comes out, whether it's a new broadcast, a new book, article, event, presentation, conference, whatever it is, anything that's coming up, we'll be posting, as well as posting new information, articles, other information that's important or valuable or relevant or whatever on our new author page. It's just titled Odwirafo. So please check that page out. Also, see on our publications page, we have our 24 books. They range between $8 and $11. The information we were talking about tonight, dealing with Maa and Maa, forces of divine law and balance, divine order being composed of divine law, love, and divine hate. When you see the Maranechi, divine law, love, and divine hate book, you'll see that detailed information there. The book, the OKRA complex, the soul of AKANFO, we deal with that information as well as the cosmology. The other books we were talking about are Yonkampon and Yonkanton, Ra and Raet, books on Odumakama and Trejuampong, Atim and Kepra, and our books on hoodoo, books on the origin of the term yoga, Karakasa, the origin and nature of the chakra, Moor means dead, the Kukutuntum, ancestral jurisdiction, proving that Jesus and Moses and Muhammad and Abraham and Isaac and Ishmael and Buddha and Brahman and all these characters never existed. A number of different books that we have published, Coco Bo, Divine Prohibition Against Dissexuality, Homosexuality in Ancient Kemet. We go into detail proving that, the origin of the term God in the Anidaho book, also proving that nigga, negas, naga, all of that has nothing to do with God and so forth. So we have a number of different publications. If you support the work that we're doing, support that. The ebook versions of our books are free downloads. As we posted today, we've had thousands of downloads on a regular basis, on a monthly basis. We make those books available for free for those who cannot afford the $8 to $11 purchase price of the regular books. But if you support our work, you can purchase the softcover books that allows us to continue to do the work that we are doing. We have a couple of events coming up that we are scheduling. We have our Etchi Sign Ancestral Religious Reversion Conference, second annual, that's going to be coming up in March around the equinox. We're planning for that now. We'll be releasing some information on that. And we also do our monthly events in the Washington, D.C. area. As we are raising funds for these free events, we always give away a free copy of one of our books to everyone who comes out. Of course, the only way we can do that is if you support our soft cover books, or if you make a donation to the fundraising campaign, and of course, you can receive books in return for that. So if you do support the work, show that you support it through making a purchase or a donation. We can send you books in return for the donation. see the NHOMA publications page on our website, odwirafo.com /nhoma.html. Any questions on phone lines? So we're going to end the broadcast here. If you have any questions or comments, just hit us up on Facebook. Go to the Facebook page and like that new Odwirafo author page, as well as Odwirafo on Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram, and click the follow button on this Odwirafo Blog Talk Radio page so that you can get the automatic emails with regard to when the next shows are coming up and what the topic is going to be. If you click the follow button, you'll be automatically on the email list. But we also will be posting all that information on the Facebook page as well. So, yet I say we thank you for tuning into the broadcast, and Yebeshia Bio, we will meet again. That's it.